All right, we're going to continue recording Elvis Presleyology Part 2. So just hold on and we'll continue in just a moment and we'll finish up this wonderful.
Performed 2 shows at the Mississippi-Alabama Fair and Dairy Show, the same fair he performed at the age of 10. But now, 100 National Guardsmen and police surrounded the stage to control the crowds of excited fans. 1956 was an extraordinary year for Elvis Presley. It was a regional sensation in January, but by the end of the year, he had become a national and international phenomenon. He recorded his first 2 albums for RCA and both sold millions of copies, made 11 national television appearances, signed a 7-year contract with Paramount Pictures, and starred in his first film, Love Me Tender, and received 4 gold records. The front page of the Wall Street Journal said that Elvis's merchandise had grown to $22 million in sales in the last few months. Elvis's appearances on national television were a turning point for America. His unconventional appearance and performance style sparked national controversy. Elvis Presley outraged adults, hypnotized teenagers of a new generation of youth, and soon became the leader of the cultural revolution that swept the country and had an impact on the whole world. The modest 3-bedroom ranch-style house on Audubon Drive in East Memphis no longer suited the family of a star of that caliber, with thousands of onlookers and fans hanging around the house every day waiting for Elvis. The Presley family moved again in March of 1957. Elvis bought Graceland for $102,500, and that was the place where the musician was living for the next 20 years. Graceland was originally a 500-acre farm built during the American Civil War. Only at the end of the 30s of the 20th century, a mansion was built instead, which today is associated with Elvis no less than Elvis himself. When Elvis Presley was a child, he promised his parents that he would make a lot of money and buy them the best house in town, ending years of struggle. The charming and stately Colonel Revival Mansion was the fulfillment of that childhood promise for the Presley family. After the death of Elvis, Graceland was valued at $350,000 and opened to tourists by Priscilla Presley in the summer of 1982. By the way, recognizable musical gates did not exist before Presley bought the house. They were designed by Abe Saucer, specifically for Elvis, and custom built by John Dillers Jr. of Memphis Doors Incorporated. Elvis's second album came soon and included Old Shep. When I was a lad, old Shep. First performed at a talent show back in 1945. Tours continued, concerts ended in violent and sometimes uncontrollable crowds of listeners on stage, with the Detroit newspaper suggesting that the problem with attending Elvis concerts was that you could get killed. Frank Sinatra was even more critical, describing rock and roll as brutal, ugly, degenerate, vicious. It fosters almost totally negative and destructive reactions in young people. It smells phony and false. It is sung, played, and written for the most part by pretentious goons. This rancid-smelling aphrodisiac I deplore. When Elvis was asked what he thought about it, he said, "I admire the man. He has a right to say what he wants to say. He is a great success and a fine actor, but I think he shouldn't have said it. This is a trend, just the same as he faced when he started years ago." Soon, the artist's third Christmas album was released. Suddenly, on December 20th, Presley received a draft notice. He was granted a reprieve due to filming a new movie. The project was called King Creole, and at that time, Paramount and producer Hal Wallace had already invested $350,000 in production. Presley was drafted into the U.S. Army as a private at Fort Chaffee, near Fort Smith, Arkansas, on March 24, 1958. His arrival became a big news break for the media. Hundreds of people pounced on Presley as he got off the bus, and photographers escorted him to the fort. Elvis announced that he was looking forward to serving in the Army and that he did not want to be treated differently than anyone else. "The Army can do anything it wants with me." Elvis's mother was diagnosed with hepatitis in early August, and her condition deteriorated rapidly. Presley was granted emergency leave to visit her, and he arrived in Memphis on August 12th. 2 days later, she died of heart failure at the age of 46. Elvis was devastated and was never the same again. Their relationship remained extremely close throughout the years. Gladys and Elvis, even in adulthood, communicated with each other very gently, calling each other affectionate names.
She just stayed the same all the way through the whole thing. I wish, there's a lot of things happened.
This is how much the average American has saved before retirement. This is how much Fidelity Investments recommend you have in a retirement account. As you can see, there's quite a difference. That's why here at Online Trading Academy, we help.
Since she passed away, I wish she could have been around to see it. It made her very happy and very proud. But that's life. I can't help it.
After military training, Presley joined the 3rd Armored Division at Friedberg, Germany on the 1st of October. There, the sergeant introduced Presley to amphetamines, and he became deeply convinced of their benefits not only for energy, but also for strength and weight loss. Many of his friends in the Army joined Presley to indulge. In addition, in the Army, Elvis also got to know about karate, which he studied in earnest while training with Jürgen Seidel. It became his lifelong interest. He later used it in his live performances. Fellow soldiers saw Presley's desire to remain an ordinary soldier despite the fame. They also remembered his generosity. He donated his Army salary to charity and bought televisions for the base and an additional set of uniforms for everyone. Presley met 14-year-old Priscilla Beaulieu in Friedberg. They got married after a long 7.5 years of courtship. In her autobiography, Priscilla said that Presley was worried that his 24 months in the Army would ruin his career. In the Secret Services, he could give concerts and keep in touch with the public, but Parker convinced him that in order to win the people's respect, he must serve his country as an ordinary soldier. Moreover, the label stocked up on unreleased Elvis material and was reinvigorating public interest for 2 years by making successful releases periodically. Presley returned to the United States on March 2, 1960, and was honorably discharged with the rank of sergeant. The train that took him from New Jersey to Tennessee was surrounded by a crowd of fans all the way, and Elvis got off at scheduled stops to please his fans. After that, he gave a short interview in which he spoke about the service and his future career.
Do you have any advice for the boys your age who are now going to have to put in a certain amount of duty in the service?
Well, the only thing I can say is to play it straight and to do your best, because you can't fight them.
A year later, RCA Victor gave Elvis a plaque stating that over 75 million of his records had been sold worldwide. Meanwhile, Parker pushed Presley into a busy filming schedule, focusing on banal musical comedies on modest budgets. Presley initially insisted on key roles, but when 2 more dramatic films, Flaming Star in 1960 and Wild in the Country 1961, proved less commercially successful, he returned to the old working formula.
You live for me, man.
There were a couple of exceptions among the 27 films Elvis starred in during the 1960s. The films were panned almost widely. Critic Andrew Kane called them a pantheon of bad taste. However, almost all of them were profitable. 15 of Elvis's films at that time were accompanied by soundtrack albums, and another 5 were soundtrack EPs. But due to the tight filming schedule, he often filmed 3 films a year. The quality of the soundtracks declined and became progressively worse. The Jordanaires' Gordon Stoker recalled that Presley walked away from the microphone because the material was so bad that he felt like he couldn't sing it. The first stars were installed and opened on the Hollywood Walk of Fame on February 9, 1960. 8 performers were awarded that honor, including the King of Rock and Roll, Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley proposed to Priscilla Beaulieu shortly after Christmas 1966. They married on May 1, 1967 in a short ceremony in their suite at the Aladdin Hotel in Las Vegas. The stream of formulaic films and assembly line soundtracks continued until the LP with the Clambake soundtrack hit record low sales in October of 1967. The RCA management then recognized the problem. but by then the damage had already been done. Historians Connie Kirchberg and Mark Hendricks stated, Elvis was viewed as a joke by serious music lovers, and a has-been to all but his most loyal fans. Elvis's first and only child, Lisa Marie, was born on February 1st, 1968. The girl was born when the musician was deeply worried and dissatisfied with his career. Only 2 of the last 8 singles hit the top 40. None of them took off above the 28th line from the top, not to mention the first places. Thanks to Colonel Parker, Presley reappeared on NBC for the first time in 8 years since the Sinatra Timex show. A special episode called Elvis, which was released in December of 1968, collected pleasant reviews and slightly rehabilitated Presley in the face of the audience. Encouraged by the comeback special experience, he took part in a prolific recording session at American Sound Studio that resulted in the acclaimed From Elvis in Memphis album. It was the first non-soundtrack secular album to celebrate an 8-year period in the studio, which was released in June of 1969. It was followed by more live performances. Cassandra Peterson, who worked as a dancer in Las Vegas, met Presley during that period and recalled their meeting. He was so anti-drug when I met him. I mentioned to him that I smoked marijuana, and he was just appalled. He said, "Don't ever do that again." Moreover, Elvis was not only categorically against recreational drugs, but also rarely drank. Several members of his family were alcoholics, and he intended to avoid a similar fate. Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer filmed
Around 1994, we created our own games.
rehearsal and concert at the International in August for the documentary Elvis, That's the Way It Is. Presley performed in the jumpsuit, which became a hallmark of his live performances. During that period, Elvis received death threats unless $50,000 was paid. He had often been the target of many threats, unbeknownst to him since the 1950s. The FBI took the threat seriously and increased security for the next 2 shows. Presley took the stage with a Derringer in his right boot and a .45 caliber pistol in his belt. Fortunately, the concerts passed without incident. Presley met with President Richard Nixon at the White House on December 21, 1970. Elvis expressed his patriotism and how he thought he could apply to hippies to help fight against the drug culture that he and the president hated. Elvis asked Nixon for the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs badge to add to the collection of his similar items he was starting to collect, and thus signified the official sanction of his patriotic efforts. The U.S. Junior Chamber of Commerce named Presley one of the 10 most outstanding young men of the nation on January 16, 1971. Shortly thereafter, the city of Memphis named the section of Highway 51 South where Graceland is located, Elvis Presley Boulevard. In the same year, Presley became the first rock and roll singer to receive the Lifetime Achievement Award, the Bing Crosby Award, from the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, the Grammy Award organization. In the same year, 3 new studio albums by Presley, which were not related to the cinema, were released. Best of all, the critics appreciated Elvis Country. It was a concept album focused on the standards of the genre.
When I was young, my heart was young then too. Anything that it would tell me, that's the thing that I would do.
He also filmed again by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer the following year, that time in Elvis on Tour, which won the Golden Globe Award for Best Documentary Film that same year. Meanwhile, Presley's relationship was getting worse and much more confusing. He and his wife became increasingly distant, estranged, and barely cohabiting. His relations with Joyce Bova, unexpectedly for Elvis, led to her pregnancy and abortion in 1971. He often spoke to her about the possibility of moving to Graceland, believing that he and Priscilla would probably get a divorce. The Presleys got divorced on February 23, 1972, after Priscilla revealed her relationship with Mike Stone, a karate instructor whom Presley had recommended to her. 5 months later, Presley's new girlfriend, Linda Thompson, A songwriter and former Memphis beauty queen moved in with him. Presley filed for divorce on August 18th. Then, at a rare press conference, a reporter asked Presley if he was happy with his image, to which Elvis replied, "Well, the image is one thing and the human being another. It's very hard to live up to an image." Presley played 2 charitable concerts for the Kauai League Cancer Fund in January of 1973, due to the groundbreaking television special Aloha from Hawaii, which was the artist's first solo concert to be broadcast worldwide. Presley's stage costume has become the most elaborate and most recognizable, with which his modern image is closely associated. At the end of the show, when Elvis spread his cloak with the image of an American eagle with spread wings on his back, he became a god figure. Finally, Presley's divorce process was finalized on October 9, 1973. The musician was very worried about Mike Stone and even thought of killing him. Elvis was almost attacked at the last concert and thought that it was Stone who sent killers to him. In fact, they were some rabid fans who, in a fit of love for their idol, climbed onto the stage. However, by that time, Elvis's health had seriously deteriorated. He overdosed on barbiturates 2 times in a year and spent 3 days in a coma after the first incident in his hotel room. He was hospitalized in a semi-comatose state in the end of 1973 due to pethidine addiction. According to his doctor, Dr. George C. Nicopolis, Presley felt that by getting drugs from a doctor, he wasn't the common everyday junkie getting something off the street. The possible reason for his deteriorating health was that since his return, Elvis had given more live performances every year, and in 1973, there were 168. It was his busiest schedule. He ventured into another intense touring schedule in 1974 despite failing health. The 2 most popular and successful concert performers of the 1970s were Elvis Presley and Led Zeppelin, and coincidentally, they caught up in May of 1974 because they shared a common promoter. Although Elvis was not a big fan of hard rock, he knew who the Zeppelins were. At some point, he was probably alerted to the presence of a rock band in the hall because he turned to his musicians. Wait a minute. If we can start together, fellas, because we've got Led Zeppelin out there, let's try to look like we know what we're doing, whether we do or not. Unfortunately, in September, Elvis's condition worsened dramatically. Keyboardist Tony Brown recalled Presley's arrival at a concert at the University of Maryland. He fell out of the limousine to his knees. People jumped to help, and he pushed them away like, "Don't help me." Guitarist John Wilkinson recalled, "I watched him in his dressing room, just draped over a chair, unable to move. So often I thought, boss, why don't you just cancel this tour and take a year off? He patted me on the back and said, it'll be all right. Don't you worry about it." RCA began to worry when Elvis lost interest in recording. Elvis has not been able to record a single since 1973. RCA shipped a mobile recorder to Graceland that made 2 full-scale recording sessions possible at Presley's home in 1976. The recording process became a struggle for him even with that convenient approach. The released singles did not become significant hits.
Yes, it does take money to make money in trading, but what if someone else provided you with the trading power of a $100,000 funded account, along with...
Although the figure of Elvis Presley was still significant at the national level. Presley and Linda Thompson broke up in November of that year, and he soon met Ginger Alden. He proposed to the girl and gave her an engagement ring just 2 months later, although some of his friends later claimed that he had no serious intentions of remarrying. During that period of time, Elvis canceled concerts because he could no longer sing normally and be on stage for a long time. Elvis's father, Vernon, became closely involved in his son's finances and fired his 3 bodyguards, called the Memphis Mafia, citing budget cuts. In the same year, the book Elvis, What Happened was published, co-authored with fired bodyguards. Elvis was devastated by the book and unsuccessfully tried to stop its publication by offering money to publishers. By that point, Presley was already suffering from glaucoma, hypertension, liver damage, and colon enlargement, an illness increased and exacerbated by drug use. Presley was going to fly out of Memphis to begin a new tour on a Tuesday evening on August 16, 1977. He had a good rest with his friends the day before and went to his bedroom in Graceland. On the day of departure, Ginger Alden found him unconscious on the bathroom floor. Elvis was taken to the hospital, but upon arrival, he was already dead. Attempts to resuscitate him were unsuccessful, and at 3:30 p.m., Elvis Presley was announced dead at Baptist Memorial Hospital at the age of 42.
Wow.
Thousands of fans gathered around Graceland on the day of the funeral. They kept coming and coming to the gate, wanting to see Elvis's open coffin. The funeral of Elvis Presley was held in Graceland on Thursday, August 18th.
I don't like this
A
part
car
right here.
crashed into a group of fans outside the gate, killing 2 young women and...
All right, we're going to wrap the video out. I just like to cover the positive, the uplifting, the side, and this is what Amology is about. I'm creating an awareness. Well, let me say I'm assisting an awareness that I am self. Now, I know this sounds awkward. This is not perfect grammar. I wouldn't get good grades in grammar speaking like I am self. Teacher would be like, what are you trying to say? But if you look at these great artists like Frank Sinatra, Elvis Presley, Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, Floyd Mayweather, Mike Tyson, Bruce Lee, all of these beings are operating outside of what's called the norm. So basically, what you're seeing, what I'm doing with this series, it's not. I'm not just putting up. We're not just putting up videos. We're making a statement here. And Elvis Presley was I am. Like, see, I am is not a church sermon. It's not a discussion just inside of a building, but I am is every being on this planet, including the universe that the planet is in. Because before Abraham was I am, before the universe was, that the world was put in, that Abraham was put on, I am. Is Abraham the first man? We don't know, right? But whomever took the physical first form as what would be called man or woman, and then of course later child, who still I am as a garment, aka acknowledged as a man or woman. I am self to a universe that I ammed, and then I am a world in. So before the universe, before the world, before Abraham was the first being that's called man, is I am. So we're on this channel more focused about the greatness and the happy and the joy. Now we're getting some parts of the video. I didn't prefer to continue on the rest of the video because then Elvis Presley was a great gift to us. He was a great gift, a great talent. And you saw I Am's way to express I Am's great talent as Elvis Presley outside of the norm. And then somewhere, and I must say this, in the head, where everyone begins to take down themselves. I kid you not. Any I am that's on this planet, if they start going south of greatness, that starts from the head. Guaranteed. When we can get our brains quiet, no information coming from there, and the brain is just quiet as every other organ, and the brain is working quietly and peaceful and harmonious. But trust this, when you are asleep at night, your brain is the healthiest when the brain is not active. Your body is the healthiest. If your brain is active all night, you don't sleep all night, you get up, you don't look the best, you don't feel your best because you haven't rested, right? So the moment the brain starts agitating you with ideas, now the normal function is to work with the nervous system, the blood and everything. The brain is there for a purpose, but to work harmoniously, to work harmoniously, to work harmoniously as the whole unit of as the body, but not to start antagonizing the gift as the body, not to start antagonizing the structure. And when the moment that happened, and some I am decide to migrate from I am, aka the heart, the soul, the self, which is where I am is anchored as in the physical body, and start taking ideas from their brain that best be quiet, then you can start seeing the downfall. Track anyone whose falls from glory, whose falls from grace, excuse me. And you can say glory too. Starts in the head. And now I'm not going to finish the rest of this because I recorded the video for us to remember how great Elvis Presley was, how great I am was as Elvis Presley. You know, before Abraham was, I am. And all the aspirations as Abraham, I am all those aspirations as well. So before Elvis Presley was, I am. And all the great aspirations, I am also those as Elvis Presley. So we looked at this gentleman, we called him Elvis Presley, but that was I am wearing that garment, that body that everyone physically acknowledged as Elvis Presley and as that great talent. As such would have been Abraham. See, beings physically, objectively know Abraham, but I am is subjectively the creator and the unseen reality as the seen reality, aka Abraham. So is the such as Elvis Presley. The unseen I am the I am self is Elvis Presley. And that seen I am that we are is anchored as the heart. We stay there. And we I am self as this whole physical experience. There'll be just joy, 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 success after success, as success as success. And that's the purpose. And that's the awareness I'm creating as these videos. So we thank I am as the greatness as Elvis Presley, one of my first favorite entertainers of all time. I really love Elvis Presley for his great as the great gift. I'm going to say this, speaking as true. I love I am as the great gift as Elvis Presley. What a great entertainer. Some beings will say a great phenomenon. Use that word. I'm just going to say a great gift. I'll say phenomenon. I mean, for those who like to have to have their intellect stroked, but I'm not trying to please the intellect. But there was a great gentleman, a great actor that played Elvis back in the 70s, Kurt Russell, and he used the word. He described Elvis as a great phenomenon. So to the likings of himself and those who will appreciate that word or that language being spoken, but I like to just go ahead and use common language. What a great gift. Because Elvis, I am as Elvis was a great gift to us. What a great, and still is. I watch his movies. In fact, I'm going to watch a movie on, after seeing this recording, I'm going to watch one of Elvis Presley movies that I have, or biographical film on Elvis Presley. So anyway, I'm grateful that I am graced, I am's present as all of us, as us. Grace I am's present as I am as us. I know the language sounds weird, but if you just really follow what I'm doing here, you start waking up and realizing that you are I am as well. And you are also a great gift. And there's some great, wonderful talent that you are to offer. That's what I'm doing by showing these Amology videos and showing these Ology entertainers. You know, Sugar Ray Leonard-ology, Bruce Lee-ology, Muhammad Ali-ology, Tyson-ology, Magic-ology, Bird-ology. Look at this. He said, we use the term athletes. Yeah, but I am as an athlete, an entertainer. I am is also the fans. Because none of these beings, even including the I am as Elvis Presley, would perform with so much enthusiasm and just zeal if there were no fans. So I am complimented I am self as great talent, as great fan, as great fans, a great fan base. What a wonderful completion as I am. Are you beginning to see the picture? I am as you is great. Whatever your talent is needed. The I am out there is waiting on the talent you are. And so that goes as I am self, in which I'm doing this as these videos. See, you don't have to pray for anything. Everything I am is already here. That's why I am book is titled You Are Everything and Everything Is You. And then the subtitle is I am everything and you are everything I am. This is a different type of awareness. But you have always been here as this awareness. And now I'm just tapping you on the shoulder, I am. And have you realize you are the I am as all. The entertainment and the fans that support and appreciate the entertainment. That's right. What a different way of seeing I am self, yourself. So we wrap this video out. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you're notified of other wonderful videos such as this. If you have a business, your video, whatever I am talent and services you are, for the I am of the customers, patrons, I am as always serving I am. We'll feature your video here in your business. And give as I am. And I am as ready to receive as those who are waiting as the gift you are. Thank you again. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. Leave wonderful, supporting, and encouraging comments. And hit the like button. Thank you very much. See you in the next video. Peace, blessings,